Hello and welcome to a beautiful mental health, teen mental health podcast. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for ourselves, y'all. Yeah, we here, baby. Let's do it, yeah. Don't worry, the applause won't be there. So, we have three wonderful teens. We have my wonderful coworker. I'm going to let her introduce herself in 2 seconds. And then we got teen mental health. We're talking about it. We're talking about our experiences. We're talking about the stigmas. We're just talking teen mental health. So my name is Tyrone. I will be one of your co-hosts. And now I will introduce my outstanding, knowledgeable, smart, strong co-host, Miss Chantel.
What a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Tyrone. Like Tyrone said, I am Chantel. Just happy to be on the podcast and to see what these teens have to say. Very excited, very excited.
Nice. All right. So now we're going to introduce our next teen. This is one of our three favorite teens of the day because you guys are all here. Me, you, yeah, victory. All right. So who wants to jump in first? Who wants to be the first teen to jump in?
I'll go first.
There we go. Tell them who you are, where you're from, but do not say your name, of course.
Wait, I'm confused. Say that again.
So just say who you are, where you're from, and something cool about you, but don't say your name.
So how am I saying who I am?
Because you're going to tell who you are without saying your name. You could be like, all right, so for instance, if I was saying who I am, I'd say, yeah, you know, I'm a 5'11" guy that likes to wear hats. I like have a good time. I like to impact teens' lives in a positive way. And I'm passionate about my New York Giants. So, you know, just a fun fact about yourself, where you're from. And I currently live in Ewing, New Jersey, but I'm from New Brunswick, New Jersey, and I lived in Trenton, New Jersey for a mighty long time. You got where I'm coming from?
Sure.
Can you follow that? Sure. I love that. Sure. Sure.
Do I say where I'm from and what school I go to?
If you want to, go. Feel free. Do your thing.
Hi. I am a student at Trenton Central High, and I live in New Jersey.
Yeah. Big round of applause for you. Thank you for coming on. All right. Team number 2. Who we got? All right. One of you. There we go. My guy.
I'm Double G. I'm from New York, but I currently live in New Jersey.
I like it. Tell them something fun fact about yourself, Double G.
I love sports. Any sport I'll basically play.
I like it. Any sport? Does that include squash? Have you ever played squash?
No.
Well, we got to get you playing squash, man. You said you'll play any sport. I'm challenging you to a game in squash.
Okay.
All right. And now last but definitely not least, we have team number 3. Tell them who you are. Tell them what you're into.
I'm from Nutley, New Jersey, but I moved to Keensburg.
Okay.
And I like skateboarding.
You love skateboarding. I'm just
I love it.
You love skateboarding. Beautiful. I love that you have a passion. All right. Now that we're done with introductions, let's get into teen mental health. Does anyone want to throw out the gauntlet on teen mental health? Anybody want to start off this conversation? Ooh, see that? No one wants to start the conversation.
I don't know what to say.
It's all
Okay,
good.
how about we start off with some stats? How about that, Tyrone? What you think about that?
I like that, Miss Chantel. We can definitely start off with some stats.
And
All
we
right,
can build off.
All right. So this stat is coming from the National Center for Children in Poverty, and it's more so a statement than a statistics, but it says mental health problems may lead to poor school performance, school dropout, strained family relationships, involvement with the child welfare or juvenile justice system, substance abuse, and engaging in risky sexual behaviors. What do you all think about that? That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a mouthful.
It is. I was out of breath.
That's hard to think about.
That is hard to think about. That's
And it's real that happens and it sucks.
it does. It absolutely does. So what do you guys think, is there a mental health stigma that people aren't getting the help they need or talking about it because of those things? Or are people like embarrassed to talk about it? Have you guys had any experiences with mental health in school, like some form of fashion?
I feel like there's like this misconception, I guess, about when it comes to mental health versus school, because there's a lot of people that think just because like you are a student, like your mental health doesn't matter.
Yeah, like that's valid. Like I agree with that 100%. Like, and I think there's a lot of people that don't know enough about teen mental health to really dig into it. And maybe, so I'll throw out this question: do you guys think if a teen is like having real problems in school, maybe with schoolwork, behavioral, or anything, do you think that's always tied into teen mental health? Or maybe they're having, like, what do you guys think of that? Do you think they're tied together, teen mental health and like discipline problems, or teen mental health and absenteeism?
I think that they're like tied together because I feel like with school, if you're like misbehaving or not learning properly, there's something going on at home or something that you need to talk about. And I feel like schools are really bad at helping with mental health.
Right.
Because I've gone to the guidance counselor and they're not good. I'm just saying that.
Explain your experience with the guidance counselor and why they're not good.
Okay,
like,
so
what were you feeling when you were going?
So basically, I was like harassed at school by someone. Like, I don't know, I got called some like homophobic slurs, and yeah.
Sorry you went through that.
I know, and like the person who like I don't know how to describe, like perpetrated it, like did that to me. We have to go to the office, and they're like, "Oh, you can come to us if you have any problems or anything, and we're gonna try to make you feel safe, as safe as possible in school." The guidance counselor was like, "Oh, yeah, we'll make you feel safe." They kept her in my class. They never asked me how I was doing. Like, it was not. They're just terrible. And with my friend too, she was having issues at home, and she went to the guidance counselor to try and get help, and they're like, "Oh, let's look at your grades." So yeah.
That's not cool. So is that experience similar for you other teens?
Thank you for sharing that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
You're welcome.
I do agree that guidance counselor. I feel like guidance counselors try to overstep and try to be therapists when that's not their job. They're not qualified for that at all. Like, I feel like guidance counselors try to like make you talk to them when you really don't have to, because like I said, that's not in their job description. Like if they were a therapist, they would have got certified to be a therapist and would have been a therapist. They would have never been a guidance counselor. But I feel like, because my experience with guidance counselors, I was forced to tell my guidance counselor what was happening with me. She said if I didn't tell her, then she was gonna force the nurse to do psych evals on me every day and every morning. And she said that she was gonna be forced. She said she was gonna be forced to call the nearest hospital to like have me. The situation wasn't even that serious, but she said she was gonna try to have them force me to be admitted by calling the cops, making it a big thing that it's not.
Wow.
That's really.
I'm sorry you experienced that.
Yeah,
that's terrible, man. Like that is
not okay.
Nah. So Double G, have you experienced anything with your guidance counselor in relation to mental health or mental health situation you were going through in school?
I haven't had any conflict with any guidance counselor because I don't really, go around them. I just stay to myself, and no one really has the opportunity to bother me with anything, so there's no real opportunities for them. But my brother did have an encounter with bullying, and the guidance counselor didn't help at all. They more so blamed the problem on him for him wearing hats. That's the reason why he was getting bullied, and they weren't helpful at all. I haven't seen really any guidance counselors be helpful.
Wow.
Man,
Well,
what do you have to say on that, Chantel?
I have a question then. So a guidance counselor is meant to be a resource, right? So if you can't even look to the guidance counselor as a resource, who do you all go to as a resource? Do you all know any of the resources that is available to you? Because there has to be something that you look to if you're having challenges, especially mental health challenges. We're in a mental health charge right now where it's more to the forefront. So who do you all think is your resource if it's not the guidance counselor? You all have had very negative experiences, and they're all valid, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think your resource is?
I go to my school-based, like they have like a program, and you could like talk to certain teachers, and I guess they're qualified to do that. They're not guidance counselors. Like you can have meetings with them, and you go in like a private room and you just tell them how you're feeling. And so that helps me because it's confidential and they can't say anything. They're never weird about it. And I go to my like friends because I can't tell my parents because I don't know. I don't trust them with that.
Right. That's fair. Anyway, go ahead, Kayla. I'm gonna edit that out. Sorry about that.
My school has a certified therapist there. And I don't know if like my best friend has talked to a therapist. I don't know if there's a therapist for each grade or if there's just one whole one, but there is a certified therapist for us there.
From your experience, do a lot of teens use it?
From the ones that I've never personally used went to them, but the ones that I have talked to you about it, they have, and they said it was nice to talk to somebody that's not a guidance counselor.
So do you notice that a lot of teens are maybe ashamed to use those type of services or ashamed to even bring up the fact that they might be struggling with something like this?
I feel like I was gonna say that's not I feel like it's not a personal thing, but like I mean sometimes it is, but by that I mean like I feel like people have made it that way. Like people have made it to the where there's a lot of kids that are uncomfortable with saying how they truly feel because of most negative reactions that they have or get. Because parents, normally when you tell your parent, they either like most of them just either blow it out of proportion or use the common phrase, "Oh, it's just your phone." So
yeah, I know that one. I know that one from experience.
I feel like a lot of people don't want to go to like guidance counselors or like services at school because they'll tell you it's confidential and they'll go telling your parents. They're trying to force stuff out of you that you don't want to be saying, like Kayla said, like I don't know how to describe it. It's just they always want to make it so your parents will find out. They never want it to be confidential. And yeah, one time I was like having like suicidal thoughts in like 6th grade or something, and I told my dad, and he was like, "Oh, you're going to hell," and I was like, "Okay, that was really rude." And yeah,
that was a rough one. So yeah, I'm sorry you went through that too.
Right.
Like that's tough. But I just want to make sure you guys know there's resources out there. Like that's what this podcast is really about. Like getting you guys the possible resources you may, not really you guys, but anybody that may need a resource talking about teen mental health. There's resources out there for you that are people trained to deal with these situations and to give you the support you may need moving forward. Also, You got something you want to add, Chantel?
No, I was saying absolutely. You're absolutely correct. I even have just speaking to what our last team just said, and this information is also coming from that National Center for Children in Poverty, between 25% and 33% of adolescents forego needed care, and many others lack the access. And there's lots of factors that hinder that, such as lack of access to utilization, exactly what our last team just said, lack of confidentiality. So it's a lot that goes into it. So you're absolutely correct, Tyrone. Absolutely, there are resources out there.
So I want to throw out a question to all the teams, and even Chantel and I, we could throw something in there if we can add our 2 cents if you feel like you want to, Miss Chantel. So I'm in my 40s, and when I was younger and you guys' age, we didn't talk about teen mental health at all. It wasn't a thing. Like, guidance counselors talked about what you were doing in the future. There was nobody that we talked to. It was nothing on TV. And I know it seems, from me being a 40-year-old, it seems pretty prevalent now, where it's a common practice where you're talking about different stuff. So do you guys, amongst yourselves, amongst your peers, talk about teen mental health and possibly ways to get through a hard time if you're in a hard time? You know, like, do you talk about, I'm depressed, and is that okay to say? Right? Because when I was a kid, that wasn't okay to say. You couldn't really say you were depressed. People look at you like you're nuts, right? They would say you're crazy, stuff like that. But I feel, for me being an adult, it feels like it's a lot more commonplace for you guys to be okay with your feelings and how you're feeling and to get those out. So I really want to just ask each one of you guys, is that, and even you, Miss Chantel, because you're not in your 40s, so we're a different age bracket. So we're pretty much hitting 3 generations here. Like, I know in my generation, when I went to school in the 90s, it wasn't a thing. And I pretty much want to know, is it a thing for you guys? Can you talk about that with your peers? And do they possibly have places that you can go to get help, or do they give you good information? Whatever that is. Let's hear.
I feel like you can talk about it with the right people, like your friends, but you have to make sure it's the right people, because if you're talking to the wrong people, it's not going to be seen as acceptable. And I feel like we're giving the resources, but a lot of those resources, like counselors and, you know, your own parents, they'll put the blame on you when anything happens. So, you know, you don't want to go to anyone else because they just blame you for what's not your fault.
Right. So there is a small conversation, but it's, you know, you got to find the right conversation. Thank you for sharing, Double G.
Anyone else want to comment on that?
I do. Like, you know how he said, oh, they always put the blame on you? That's like what my dad did before. I'm obviously better now, but that's like a real life example. And I feel like there is more resources now, but sometimes these resources aren't good, like he said. With the hotline, I saw someone, the suicide hotline, someone posted a TikTok and they were saying how they tried to call and they told them they were like having thoughts, and the person on the line was like go to sleep or something. I don't even remember what they said, but it's crazy. Like there is resources and stuff, but sometimes they aren't helpful. And yeah, like my parents, when they're growing up, because they're growing up at the same time as you, Tyrone, if you talked about mental health, they called you like insane, or like, oh, go to the psych ward, and like you're crazy.
It's true. It's very true.
Also, another thing I wanted to like add was like, so there's a lot of like people of color who struggle with like mental health stuff, and I feel like it's much worse for them than it is when a white person goes and says they're struggling with mental health, because they're like, oh, you have to be strong, and there's not as many like black and brown therapists out there to help you, or teachers, and it just makes it really hard for people of color, especially black people. And I just wanted to talk about that because it bothers me so much. I don't know.
Wow.
Thank you for the input. Great.
Wow, that was very powerful. I love that. And just for reference, like Mr. Tyrone said earlier, we're like 3 different generations. I'm 25. So I want you all to know that these conversations are fairly new. Like, Mr. Tyrone's generation, like he said, it was like you're crazy and all those type of stuff. But that was very well mined as well. It's just that when my generation came, it was a little bit more forward in pushing the boundaries when it came to mental health. You all's generation are blowing the door wide open, okay?
Mhm.
You all are the power force that's saying we need to have this conversation now.
That's
A
right.
lot of these resources were not available to me. A lot of these resources were not available to my peers, and especially like our last team just said, because we were people of color, and that's something that I'm also passionate about as well. So kudos for you for even bringing that up, because that's something that a lot of people don't talk about often, because it's like one of those subjects that they're afraid to mention on, but it's something that needs to be said.
Absolutely.
I was one of those teens where, could have probably benefited from some of those resources. And like our last team said as well, you had so much quotables in there. You were just told to be strong.
Yep.
It's not enough. It's not enough just to be told to be strong. You need something else. You need the things that are available now. And speaking of that, there is a resource that I will give Mr. Tyrone to post in the box in the YouTube description.
Yep.
That is for people of color, where you can go seek a therapist. But finances, I know also is something that can be thrown in this mental health conversation, where a lot of people just can't afford it. You know what I mean? So that's another conversation starter there. Finances,
Right.
it's really hard.
Absolutely.
So I guess Mr. Tyrone, you can talk about that too, how that this generation is the charge. Okay, they are leading the way.
Listen, like like you guys, like I know like you guys probably hear me say it all the time, but you guys are legendary. You have done so many different things in different areas. You guys are way more woke than my generation ever was, tenfold. We didn't care about anything but us. You guys are on top of everything. Mental health, like you guys are gonna do great things in your adult life. You just keep pushing on, man. But your generation is definitely leading the charge.
There was no podcast like this for me and Miss Tyrone's generation. There was no even talking about this. Like one of our teams said as well, it's straight to the psych ward. Okay, you are going on that 72-hour psychiatric hold, all of that stuff.
Yep.
Okay, and there was nothing like this. No conversations.
So speaking of podcasts, there wasn't even internet when I was in high school, guys. That's how old I am. No internet. So yeah, it's all good. I'm not offended. It's all right. I'm good with it. But so I have one more question that I like to ask, and it's I'm a parent, right? So I try to keep a great relationship with my teens. I have 2 teens. And I talk to you guys, and I try to keep the lines of communication open and let you know I'm always here for you if you need. Even though if you don't use me, I'm here, and I just want to help, and I want to be a resource to get you the help you need in any situation in your life. So how can parents be more helpful if you're feeling something relating to mental health? If you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling, because a lot of times you may not even know what it is you're actually feeling. You may feel depression. You just feel like, why am I always sad? It's depression. But if your parents aren't aware, the people you talk to are not aware of it. You just think something's wrong with you, and nothing's wrong with you. Everybody goes through those feelings. Like, it's literally human. Everyone feels depressed sometimes. Everyone feels anxious sometimes. But you may feel a little more, and it's undiagnosed. So to teens, what can parents and trusted adults do to help you guys get through the tough situations? Like if you're feeling something.
To me, it's as easy as just being there. Because if someone knows they can go to someone and knows that they'll try to help and do their best, that makes them more likely to get help and for everything to be successful. While if someone, doesn't know where to go and doesn't know if they can go anywhere, they're just going to be lost, and they already don't know what they're going through. They're already lost. It's not going to help them if they don't know what they can do.
Great answer. Very good insight. Thank you for sharing. Go ahead. You came off mute already. I ain't even going. You just go.
Okay. Well, yeah, like Garrett said, your parents need to care. They need to be there for you. Like, if you go to them, you're like, oh, I feel like this, and they're like, okay, well, I don't know, like Kale said, shut your phone off or something. That's gonna make them feel worse. They're gonna bottle up their feelings and not tell you about stuff. Like more and more, they're gonna keep hiding it, and they're not gonna want to get help. You need to want to help your child. You need to check up on them and see how they're feeling, not just go on with your life and not ask them about their mental health. You have to be there. Yeah.
Great follow-up. Great follow-up. My last teen, would you like to comment on that? Apparently you don't want to comment on that. You're staying quiet over there. It's all good. But you guys covered that really well, I thought. Miss Chantel, you got any questions or any comments you want to throw in there? Any questions you want to throw to the teens?
Definitely want to add to what can parents do. I am also not a parent, but I was a teen, and I've been working with teens for 5 years since I got out of college, and while I was in college as well. But something that parents can do is to become educated. We just spoke on the generations previously not having the knowledge, but there's a plethora of information out there now. And these are things that these teens are experiencing every day. It's happening, whether they want it to or not, whether or not they tell you to put the phone down. You can put the phone down. These problems will still be there. Become educated now. This is the time so that you can prevent a lot of the things that would happen because you're not. As well as being open-minded.
That's right.
Be very open-minded. They're experiencing things that the generations before them never had to experience. That's right. So you have to open your mind a little bit more. And lastly, active listening. Okay, we all have been the person where someone's talking and it goes in one ear and out the other. But if it's serious, and like one of our teens said, like if you're going to be there, do your best at that and actively listen. Don't just listen so it can go in one ear and out the other. Listen so you can help find a solution to the problem. If you can't, so you can help them try to find someone who can.
Absolutely. And great piece. I agree with that 100%. And it popped another question in my mind. Last question of the day, honestly. What do you guys think? Do you think that social media has an impact on mental health in teens? And if it does, if you feel yourself feeling a certain type of way from social media, do you pull away? Or do you just continue on doing what you're doing and you go deeper in the hole?
I think that social media does impact mental health a lot because it makes you feel like, oh, you have to be a certain way. You can't miss out on certain stuff. You have to be like perfect. But in reality, social media is like really unrealistic, and a lot of the stuff does, like, their lives are really not that crazy. Like, I don't know, like it's like they just make you feel like, oh, I have to be doing stuff every day. I have to go on vacation. I have to have money. And that makes you feel negatively about yourself.
Right.
And,
that's absolutely right.
Yeah. And when I feel like that, I'd like take a step back and like, okay, let me go hang out with my family or something. Let me remember what real life's like.
That's right. Good move. Double G, you got a thought on that?
Yeah, I feel like social media does and doesn't affect mental health, because I feel like, if the other generation had it, they would be going through the same thing that we are. History repeats itself because people keep on doing the same things. The last generations and the generations before that went through the same thing as we are, just in a different way. They just didn't have the technology. Parents were always saying the same things. Get outside or whatever, go work, go do something. Right. It's just, there was a different generation, and now you're doing the same thing your parents were doing. And, when social media gets dark for me, I just get disappointed with all the things I see. And it's like sad because you always see someone doing something dumb. And a lot of times you see other people suffering because of what those people are doing. I feel like people in a sense have gotten too free, especially in America. They've gotten too free. They've gotten a big ego, and they don't think as much as they do.
Man, said a lot there, young man. You definitely said a lot. Like, I know that you guys' generation is totally has way more at your fingertips than my generation ever did. So you have a lot more things that come with that. Like, so when you're like, if your parents are my age, a lot of things that you're going through now, they may not fully understand. Just being totally honest, like there's some things that I have to, I have to put the effort in to look into it. Like, all right, what is that? I like Snapchat. I had a Snapchat for a week because I gotta check this out, see what's going on here, because it's a little different than other social media sites, but it's different. Like, so I'm not saying parents have a pass. I'm just saying some things they don't understand, and hopefully they can do a little bit of reason. Like Miss Chantel said, they could learn a little bit more, look into things and try to figure things out, and come to you guys. And the more you guys, you have a better relationship with your parent, the more, you guys communicate, the better you guys communicate, it can be beneficial for both of you guys. Like, they can understand you a little more, you can understand them a little more, and you guys can find a way to try to balance these things out. Because social media and having all the access that you guys have, that's a huge responsibility. And if, like you guys both said, if it gets dark for you, you pull away. That's what you should do. Like, you should, if it gets too heavy for you, pull away for a little bit, go back, or maybe don't go back. Social media is not for everybody. You don't have to have it. It seems like you do, but you don't. All right. That's all I got. Anyone else have anything they want to throw in that?
Kayla, are you gonna talk? Because I want to interrupt you.
And you really have to stop saying names. You gave me a lot of editing to do, young lady.
Oops, my bad. I was forgetting.
It's all good.
I don't really have any opinions. I was just listening to y'all conversation.
Oh, that means it was good. If you were just, I was just taking it all in. Was you getting good information, young lady?
Well, we have been hitting a lot of points here, Mr. Tyrone.
I think
we have been hitting the points.
I think like you guys have all done. First of all, I just want to commend you all on coming on and being so open, like saying some stuff, because you guys are really gonna affect someone else's life because they're hearing your situation and they know, like, man, it's not just me. I'm going through that same situation, and they hear it, and that just makes people feel a little more comfortable in their situation. I'm not the only one going through this, and they, have something to tie to being a little better, right? So, is there anything you guys want to like? I'm just ending off with, I'm proud of all you guys. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Miss Chantel, for coming on and doing, like, I think us all together added a lot here, because we have literally 3 different generations, and you guys represented really well for your generation. Thank you. And do you have any parting shots that you want to give anybody that may be struggling with their mental health? And we're going to have resources on the screen when you guys see this. So look on the screen. We'll have resources right on the screen for you to, if you want to call, email, go to a site, whatever. But any personal things you guys may have.
To be honest, just take it one day at a time, and I guess just have a nice day.
I love your ends. Just have a nice day. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. You can never hear "have a nice day" too many times.
I just want to say to try to understand everything, because before any change happens, we have to understand what's wrong, and then we can learn how to fix it.
That's right. Great answer so far. You have one more coming in, team. Lay it on the line.
Okay, so basically, get educated and learn about different types of people, because they go through a lot of stuff, and it's hard to talk about mental health. So be just be open and be ready for any conversation. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Chantel.
I guess I would leave by saying you're not alone, and there are resources out there. You just have to find the one that best suits what you're going through, and it might take some time to do that. But as long as you're consistent and you don't give up on your journey to have positive mental health, You'll get there. Just be patient with it. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself some grace, because no one is in your head, no one is in your body, so they can't ever fully understand what you're going through, but they can help you to understand better. Like our last teen, one of our teens just said, you have to get that understanding in order to make that change. So be patient with you, because you're figuring it out too.
That's right. That's right, man. That's a beautiful way to end it. Like, thank you guys all. Thank you guys for listening. We're gonna try to do this weekly. So I hope to see all my teens back here next week to talk about a different subject in teen mental health. I know Miss Chantel will be here. I know I'll be here. So thank you guys for listening. The resources are on the screen right now. So, I mean, you can't click on them because it's a YouTube, but they're there for you. They'll be in the description. And you guys keep being great, man. I believe in everybody listening. I believe in everybody on this panel. You guys are all awesome. Everybody that's out there listening, you're awesome because you took the time to listen and you're working to get through something right now. And if you are, great. If you're a parent listening, take heed. Just got good information from teens. Listen to them. Take heed of it. And have a like my one of my teens said, have a good day. I like that. Have a good day. Mm-mm-mm.